How to stay for free in hotels, Hotel Rewards Basics. I'm Chris, this is Yellow Productions. I do travel guides that are fun, informative, and entertaining. This video, it's a live stream. If you're on the live stream, fellow explorers, I'm really looking forward to hanging out with you guys. If you're watching the archive, well, make sure to subscribe, click the bell to turn on notifications so you get notified of these live streams that I typically do on Monday nights at 8 p.m. But for those of you that are on the live stream, I look forward to hearing what you think about maybe how you stay in hotel rooms for free, what your tips are, and definitely if y'all in the chat see questions from other people, please answer them because that's the great part about this community. So why am I talking about hotel rewards today? Well, because many people often ask me, Chris, how can you afford all this travel? How can you stay in all of these expensive hotels? And one of the answers is a lot of the hotels we stay in, we actually stay there for free by redeeming hotel rewards points. Many what I'll call infrequent or early people in their journey on collecting airline miles and points focus on airline miles but kind of forget about hotel rewards points. But I think hotels are often overlooked, but they shouldn't be because hotels can be a pretty expensive part of your trip, often more expensive the hotels than the flights. For example, Girl and I, we just spent 7 nights in London at the Renaissance St. Pancras Hotel, all on points for free. No taxes, no nothing. If we didn't redeem points, it would have been £400 per night otherwise. That's like nearly $600 a night. So in this video, I'm going to share with you some tips on how to maximize the number of points you can earn when you stay at hotels so that you can stay in more hotels for free. And I'll be breaking this down into basically 7 different sections. I'll be talking about major rewards programs. Number 2, I'll be talking about hotel rewards programs basic. Number 3, earning points. Number 4, tips for redeeming points. Number 5, I'll be talking about elite status and how important that is. 6, I'll be talking about promotions. And then 7th, I'll be concluding with just some pro tips in general that didn't fit into any of those particular areas. And so let's go on to number 1. The first area that I want to talk about is what are the major rewards programs. And so I would say there's like 3 big ones, and then I'll talk about some of the other major ones too. But the first 3 big programs, number 1, and I'll call this the big boy of hotel rewards programs, it is Marriott Bonvoy. It used to be called Marriott Rewards, but when Marriott merged with Sheraton, it got renamed Marriott Bonvoy. This is my favorite rewards program. It's where I've got the bulk of my hotel nights, typically at Marriott's, and I have spent 974 nights in Marriott. That's a lot of time in Marriott. So if you want to dive deep into Marriott, I can probably answer a lot of your questions, and I'll be making a lot of comparisons to Marriott. That's why I spend a lot of time. But Marriott Bonvoy has chains you know of like Marriott, Residence Inn, Spring Hill Suites, Renaissance, and Autograph Collection. What do I like best about Marriott Bonvoy? Because they have the most hotels, that's the biggest chain. You can generally find Marriott affiliated properties in almost any destination that you are going to. My second favorite hotel rewards program is the World of Hyatt. Hyatt hotels, these are things you know of like Hyatt, Park Hyatt, Hyatt House. Pretty much all the Hyatt affiliated hotels have Hyatt in the name. But what do I like best about World of Hyatt? Well, I like the Park Hyatts, I like the Andazes, I like their high-end hotels. I feel like in Hyatt hotels, if you have elite status, you get treated the best, and I feel you get your most value for redemptions out of Hyatt. However, Hyatts are in the least amount of places of the big 3, and so it's hard to focus just on Hyatt hotels. The third of the big 3 chains is Hilton Honors, and that's with a second H, but it's hard to pronounce Honors. But under Hilton Honors, they have Hilton, Conrad, which is Hilton's high-end chain, Homewood Suites, Hampton Inn, Embassy Suites, Doubletree, and a whole bunch more. Most of these chains have about 30 different brands underneath them, so I'm not listing all of them, but just the big ones. I like Hilton because generally, if I can't find a Marriott or a Hyatt, I can find a Hilton associated property. I don't find their elite benefits at Hilton's to be nearly as good as I do at Marriott's and Hyatt's, so that's why Hilton is number 3. Now, some of the other big rewards programs, I'm putting this in the other category because they're just a whole different tier altogether. The first one in this tier is Ihg Rewards Club. This is part of the Intercontinental Group, hence the IHG, Intercontinental Hotel Group. So Intercontinental Holiday Inn is probably the biggest one that's a part of this, and also Kimpton is kind of a boutique hotel chain that just joined Ihg Rewards. Wyndham Rewards, somebody mentioned Wyndham. Wyndham has a big rewards program. Best Western has a rewards program. Radisson Rewards, and then finally, kind of at the bottom of the barrel, is Choice Rewards. Those are the hotels like Quality Inn, Clarion, Comfort Inn, Econo Lodge. If you're staying in a lot of like just random places and cheap budget hotels, then you might find some use out of Choice privileges. The last big program that I want to mention, and this one is probably useful if you're in Europe, it's called Les Club Accor Hotels. It's a French conglomeration. They've got Ibis, Mercure, Pullman, Sofitel, and Fairmont, which is high-end, that is part of that. Let's go to some of the comments. Achilles says 970 nights at Marriott. Wow, it's a lot of nights at Marriott. Obviously, I need to stay in a lot of places as I do these travel videos. Jordan Grant agreed with me about my comment about hotels being expensive, saying that New York hotels are $600 for 5 days when the flights are only $400. That is very true. D says the way to stay for free is just to get married to a rich guy. You totally could do that. Benjamin says he had not so good of an experience with Bonvoy. So, Benjamin, why not? And there's some questions about Topher. Topher was stolen. Topher has not been found. It's very sad. But if you look back here, these are all the Topher submissions that people have sent in for the casting call. And there's a new Topher hanging out down there, Topher submission number 5, that I'll show you guys a little bit later. All right, so let's go ahead and go on to number 2. So the second point that I wanted to talk about is now basics about hotel rewards programs. So now that you know kind of the major programs, let's talk about some of the basics in these programs. And so simply the way hotel rewards programs work is you earn points and you get free hotel room nights. That's the basic premise behind hotel rewards programs. Generally, you earn points based upon your hotel room spend, but you can also earn it from credit cards. And so I'll talk more about credit cards later, but some of you may have seen my video I just recently did, or maybe not, about the Chase Sapphire Preferred Card. This is one of my favorite cards for earning points. You can earn points on this that transfer to Hyatt and Marriott, and actually I find the earnings on this to be better than a lot of affiliated hotel rewards programs. I have a link in the description below if you want to see all about the Chase Sapphire Reserve Card. So when you're earning points and when you're redeeming them, the points are generally in categories that roughly equate to price and popularity. But there's so much more than just those simple categories. And there's so much more in the hotel programs. I talked about elite status earlier, and I think elite status can almost be more important and more valuable than just the points. If you have high elite status with these various programs, you'll get perks like free breakfast, room upgrades, early check-in, late checkout, and more. And also, the higher your elite status, typically, the more points you earn per every dollar that you spend. And so then this is sometimes where people mix things up a little bit, is elite status is typically based upon the number of nights that you've stayed per year, and your elite status typically resets in every hotel program every year. They want to keep you running the treadmill on that program, but there can also be a dollar threshold. So some programs might say, well, you have to spend $10,000 or $20,000. Hornby says, which credit cards have hotel rewards, Chris? Well, I'll tell you, I have hotel rewards cards for all of the major U.S. hotels. I have the Marriott card by Chase and Amex. It used to be the Sheraton card. I have the Hyatt card by Chase. I have the Hilton cards that are by Amex. You'll find Radisson, like they all have rewards cards. I do find that I prefer the Chase Sapphire card, and somebody said, hey, great plug there. I'm actually giving you that because that's the card I use the most, not because I'm really trying to plug it. Kim Jong-un asks, do you get free stays for promoting the hotel too? Generally, no. The hotel reviews that I do are typically not promoted. They're things that I pay for, I use points for, and so the videos that you see are typically not promoted hotels. I don't, like when I'm going someplace, I don't reach out to them and say, hey, I'm coming, can I stay in your hotel for free to do review? There are influencers who do that, but I don't like to do that because I kind of prefer to be more anonymous. By the way, what am I drinking today? This is it's a common feature. Today I'm drinking royal milk tea right here. It's another tea that I've picked up from Mitsuya Japanese Tea, the finest blend of milk tea with 25% milk. And it has that great iced Earl Grey taste along with milk. Oh, don't you just love how small this can is, right? Isn't this a petite can? So Jake McShane says that Hilton gives you top tier status just for having the Expire card. Indeed it does. And so the different credit cards, you can have these different benefits along with them. And the Expire card, it has like a $450 annual fee, and you can get diamond status at Hilton. If you stay in Hilton's a lot, I think it is totally worth it. D says, D is drinking a Corona, matching my shirt. Cheers. Thank you very much. Brother says, what do you think about IHG Hotels in their point system? Brother, I'm just going to answer to that to say that I don't love IHG Hotels because I don't really love Holiday Inns. And so that's not a place that I don't bother with that program because I don't like the hotels in the IHG chain. Sigma Rex says, a hotel banned influencers because of a stunt like that. Yeah, was it a British hotel or something like that? There are people who say hotels are like, seriously, we actually need to pay the housekeeping staff and we need to pay for these rooms, so we can't afford to give them out for free. Let's see. Other comments. Oh, D says, in order to get the Chase Sapphire Preferred, you do need a good credit for that. Mine's too low. Chase denied me. It is true, to get some of these higher end cards, you do need some high credit scores. Sigma Rex says, I don't like rewards programs in general. You have to spend more to get free stuff than the price of the stuff if you just pay for it. I actually don't know I agree with that. And this goes back to Jake McShane's comment about if you get, say, the Hilton Expire card for a $450 annual fee, and that means you get free breakfast every time you go to Hilton's. If you're traveling with like a family of 4 to Hilton's, that breakfast that's free for 2 or 4 people will quickly overshadow what you paid for the actual annual fee in that credit card. And that's often why I say the elite programs are sometimes worth more than the actual rewards programs. And this is also where I say a great way to earn points is not actually by hotel spend, it's by credit cards or even by shopping portals. And so we'll talk more about those in a little bit too. Okay, and Hornby says, which hotel chains are the best for reward overall experience? My favorite is Hyatt. I think that's the best chain for overall reward experience ratio. They provide the best elite status. The breakfasts at many like Park Hyatts are just amazing. They're the kind of breakfast where they'll just say, look, just order anything off the menu. When we stayed at the Park Hyatt, Washington, D.C., one of our favorite breakfasts, we could get crab cakes and bone marrow, fresh squeezed orange juice at our table, and that was all for having top tier Hyatt status, which if we would have bought that breakfast, it would have been, like $100 for the 2 of us or something like that. All right, so let's go on to number 3. The third area I want to talk about is earning points. So far, we've talked about the major rewards programs, we've talked about hotel rewards programs basics, and now we're going to talk more in detail about earning points. So how do you earn points? Now, the first one, by staying at hotels. Some hotels, you get some amount of points per dollar that you spend per stay. That typically applies on your room. It typically applies on room service. It typically applies on food in the hotel. It typically does not apply to taxes or parking. So my tips for earning points is to look for promotions globally with the chain and also at the hotel. So if you're staying with a Marriott or a Hilton or Hyatt, make sure you go to their website, check the promotions tab, and sign up for it. Because a lot of times you can just click a button and you'll get like 2 points for the price of 1. So you'll like double your points just for signing up for that promotion. Marriott sometimes does these mega bonus promotions where if you stay 10 nights, then you'll get 20,000 points. Other times they'll have promotions which are stay 2 nights and they'll give you a night for free. I've gotten a lot of free night certificate stays in those sorts of promotions. So now with credit cards, I think credit cards are actually the easiest way to earn hotel rewards points. It's easier than staying in so many hotels. Not everybody stays in 974 nights of hotels. So if you're not staying in hotels a lot, paid, and you only want to stay for free, well then get some of the hotel rewards cards, and not necessarily just for spending on the cards, but actually the bonus for opening the cards. The bonus for opening some of these cards can be 100,000 points that you can redeem for a couple nights in top-end hotels. And so you can get them, as I said before, in the hotel programs, like Marriott has a branded card, Hilton has a branded card, or you can get the Chase Sapphire card, you can get the American Express membership rewards cards, you can transfer those. You can also, in addition to the sign-up bonus, get referral bonuses. So if you refer your friends, then you can get a sign-up bonus, and they typically get a sign-up bonus too. The third way to earn points is also on shopping portals, and I feel like this is often an overlooked way of earning miles and points, but if you shop online, there's a lot of shopping portals that you can earn, 1 to 2 to 3 points per dollar you spend on various websites. In hotel programs, there's less shopping portals than there are in airlines programs. Hotel programs, rewards portals are limited to Choice and Wyndham hotels. Hornby says, do you usually spend a lot so that you can get the rewards, or do you use promotions? I don't generally, spend a lot with the hotel just so I can get the promotion. On credit cards, I do spend enough to meet the minimum spend so I get the sign-up bonus, because that is the most lucrative way of earning the points. I also generally personally try to focus on 1 or 2 rewards programs. If you just try to put all of your stuff in every rewards program, you won't make enough headway to really earn any status or have any points and things. So I think it's good to focus on 1 or 2 programs. And for me, my primary is Marriott. My secondary is Hilton. I'd prefer my secondary to be Hyatt, but there just aren't enough Hyatts around for that really to be my secondary. Karthik says, some credit cards give you elite status by default, don't they? Yes, they do. And some you can get really high elite status. Other ones you can get middle status. Otherwise, it's low status. That's one of the reasons why I've got all the hotel cards, so I have at least some basic status. The American Express Platinum card gives you Hilton Honors Gold status, and frankly, that's good enough to get free breakfasts at Hilton hotels, which is the major thing that I look for in elite status. Let's see, there was a question over here that says, Nicholas says, what's the best rewards program for people who only travel once a year? Nick, I think it depends where you're going and what the hotels are that are there. Marriott has the most options. Hyatt's great if you like high-end hotels, if you like, beach resorts and things like that. Hyatt has a lot of those. Melissa says, I paid $549 total. That's for 2 to go from JFK to London and back, which I think is a good deal, and I'm still having a hard time finding a nice but affordable hotel in London. I believe it. That's really good for your airfare. Yeah, and you're not going to find hotels for that. D asked me, what's my name? It's Chris. My name is Chris D, so welcome. House of Sid says, what's the minimum number of points you need to accumulate in order to redeem? It depends on the hotel rewards programs. They're all sort of different, but generally it's not a lot. Okay. Intel Pine says, what did you say was your primary hotel? It's Marriott. And I don't know if you're really asking me that or if you just think I haven't said it enough. House of Sid asked me, what's my opinion on Amex Delta Gold? So Delta Sky Miles in the frequent flyer community is often known as Sky Pesos because it's really hard to redeem Delta Sky Miles. They're not worth a lot. Delta has a lot of copays, and so I don't really recommend Delta as a primary program if what you want to do is earn points to redeem for flights. I recommend Star Alliance, and so I recommend United as a great program to redeem your flight. And, you know, people might be tired of me plugging the Chase Sapphire Preferred card only because I've got a lot of these cards. I have the Chase Sapphire card, I've got the Chase Ink card, I've got the Chase Freedom card. I have a lot of cards that earn Ultimate Rewards points, and I really like the transferable currency because you can transfer it to like 14 different programs. You can transfer them to Delta, you can transfer them to United. You can transfer it to pretty much, well, you can't transfer it to Delta, but you can transfer it to KLM or Air France, which you can use to book Delta flights, and so you'd really do better earning Ultimate Rewards points than you would earning Delta miles directly with that credit card. Hornby asks, can you get rewards from other ways, such as airlines? You could, but if you're transferring between hotels and airline programs, and sometimes they do offer transfers, that's like always a really bad deal. Going from hotels to airlines or airlines to hotels, always a really bad deal. So generally don't do that. Earn the points as best thing, Ultimate Rewards points or membership rewards points in a transferable currency, and then transfer them to the place that you want to redeem them, but you have more flexibility that way. Andrew wants me to make more hotel reviews. Good news, Andrew, I've got a couple queued up, so I will have some more. Matthew says, hey, do the Hilton and Marriott cards have annual fees? The Marriott cards all have annual fees. There is a Hilton Amex card that has no annual fee, so if you don't like paying annual fees, then I'd suggest one of the Hilton American Express cards. I think it's the, I don't know if it's the Surpass card, or there is one Hilton Amex card that has no annual fees. Jake McShane says, what's the best hotel in the world that you've ever stayed in for free? That's a great question. The best hotel in the world I've ever stayed in for free is the Andaz Hotel in Maui. Andaz, it's part of the Hyatt chain. The Andaz Hotel in Maui typically runs for like $500 to $600 per night. We stayed there for 5 nights for free. If you add that up plus resort fees and taxes, it was probably, you know, $4,000 worth of value. We had high-end Hyatt status at the time, which meant that we got like a room upgrade on the top level with a balcony. We got free breakfast every day in the buffet for 2 people. The buffet breakfast at the Andaz by itself is just like $50 a person, and so you add that up and the value can be pretty great. So any of you are going to Maui, definitely check out the Andaz in Maui. Yippee says, I should know this, but do Chase Sapphire points expire? Most points currencies do expire. If you close all your Chase cards, they expire. I think as long as you're paying your Chase fee, they typically don't, as long as you have the card open. But most of the airline and hotel programs do expire unless you earn new points every year or 2. Linda asks, is the Freedom card as good as the Sapphire card? The answer is no. The Freedom card does not have an annual fee, and so the Freedom card earns bonuses in various areas. The Sapphire card's better because it earns more points per dollar, assuming you spend more. And there's 2 types of Sapphire cards. There's the Chase Sapphire Preferred, and there's the Chase Sapphire Reserve. In my recent video, I talked all about the Chase Sapphire Preferred. I said that was the best credit card for infrequent or occasional travelers who don't spend a lot. If you put more than $12,000 a year of spend on your credit card in the categories of travel and dining, then the Chase Sapphire Reserve card is better because that one earns 3 points per dollar in travel and dining, where the Chase Sapphire Preferred earns 2 points per dollar. Fiorella said, Chris, you told us to share info if we had it, and Fiorella says, the My Vegas Rewards game app gives you free hotels and stuff in Vegas. That's a great tip, and I know a lot of people that use that to play the slots all the time and get free things in Vegas. So if you got a bunch of free time and you want to play that slot, that's a great tip to get free stops in Vegas. Hornby says, what credit cards need a large certain amount of spending? None of them require a large certain amount of spending. It just depends on the sign-up bonus. Generally, the higher the annual fee, the more money you have to spend on the sign-up bonus. Sometimes the sign-up bonus can be much as like $10,000 to get that bonus, which is a lot of money to spend in 3 months. D asks if I'm single. I am married, D. And so when I talk about OC Girl, that's my wife that we typically travel together. All right, let's go on to numero 4. Number 4. Okay, so we talked all about earning points. Now we're going to talk about redeeming points. Okay, so you got all these points. They're either in the hotel program or their ultimate rewards, their membership points. You're going to transfer them to a hotel. And so the way you typically redeem points is from the hotel website. If you're redeeming them, if you're going to stay at a Marriott, you go to Marriott.com, you check a little box that says search your points. It's the same with Hyatt, it's the same with Hilton, it's the same with all of them. You typically have one search mechanism to search for paid rates, and then if you want to see the points rates, you have to check that box. Sometimes they make you log in to see the points rates, but if you're booking rewards rooms, it's always better to check the cash rate first. You might find out that that hotel room that's normally $750 a night in Las Vegas, because you're going the day after Christmas and nobody's there, is only $100 a night. And so why waste your points on that top tier room when it's super cheap? So always check the cash rate first and make sure it makes sense to use your points. Usually the highest category hotels aren't worth it, and so that's whatever the top tier is in the hotel program. Those typically go for like an exorbitant amount of points, and so you can also use Google to like Google the value of a point. The points guy often does like a points valuation, so make sure that you're getting a good value for your points. Also pay attention to peak and off-peak rates. This is something that a lot of hotel chains have started doing, which is not a standard rate every night across all hotels, but they're saying, oh, well, you know, if you stay in January, it's 50,000 points a night, but if you stay in July, it's 75,000 points a night. Or it might not even be by month, it might be by day, and so make sure the rate you're getting is a good one, because peak and off-peak might not be a good deal. Hilton Honors does this kind of sneaky thing where they have standard rooms and then they have premium rooms, and the premium rooms can be 3 or 4 times as much per night as the standard rooms. So watch out for standard or upgraded or premium rooms. When you're looking for rooms, you might find out that like none are available if you search for one night. The Andaz in Maui that I mentioned, in order to like book a reward stay there, it had like a 5-night minimum stay for rewards. And so check random days, check out 5 days, check out a lot of different things. And also, you might want to check out the sweet spot in your particular hotel program. With Marriott, that sweet spot is 5 nights. With Marriott, if you book 4 nights, you get the 5th night free. Well, so it's actually, if you book 4 nights, you get nothing for free. So if you book 5 nights, you'll pay for the first 4, and then you get the 5th night free. Actually, now that they've went to peak and off peak, if you book 5 nights, you'll get the cheapest one free, not necessarily the 5th night. JetLife asked, does Expedia have a good point system to use? Yeah, they have some points. I think the points with the hotel programs are better. Hotels.com also has like a points program that you can redeem for more hotel points. Expedia and Hotels.com and these online travel agents, they can be good if you're staying for some reason in places that doesn't have any of the major chains, or you just don't like the major chain hotels. But if you are staying in the major chain hotels and you book via an online travel agency like Expedia, like Hotels.com, then typically you don't accrue elite benefits with the hotel program. And so I actually never stay in any of the big chains booked via like Expedia or the online travel agents. I only use the online travel agent websites, again, Expedia, Hotels.com, or Agoda. My favorite for like Japan travel is Agoda, and I'll use that to book Japan, Japanese onsens, Japanese, traditional hotels. I think that's what those are good for. Funtastic asked, what are promo codes? Yeah, promo codes are kind of the equivalent of like coupons or discount codes. Sometimes hotels will have it on their website with a little promotion to say like, oh, get discounted weekend nights. Get $50 off a weekend night if you enter the code weekend for fun. Sometimes there's also promotion codes that are affiliated to people who work for like a specific company. So IBM might have negotiated a rate with certain hotels. There's a whole bunch of other discounts. I will say, don't use promo codes that you don't qualify for, because sometimes people have been known to use, say, the IBM discount code, and then when you get to the hotel, they ask you for your IBM business card or corporate ID, and if you don't have one, then instead of ending up charging you the $100 discounted rate, they charge you the $700 night rack rate, and that can get really expensive. D says, what about the Hotel Tonight app? Yeah, the only time I would use something like that is if I am in like an airport city where I've misconnected on my flight and I wasn't planning to stay there and I need to find a hotel tonight. I personally like to actually know where I'm staying, so I don't like to wait till the last minute to book that hotel. I mean, that's great if you like to gamble and you don't really care where you stay, but I'm pretty picky about where I stay. It drives the things that I do. It drives the things that I eat. So I'm not that big on that. I would say I've used things like that maybe once or twice. Fantastic. Says, do you recommend AAA and AARP to save? I absolutely do. I have a AAA membership, and using just the AAA discount and checking that for hotels and also rental cars, I've saved a lot of money. Though, do make sure to carry your AAA card with you, because hotels often prompt for that, particularly if you're staying in like Japan or countries like that. Hornby says, do hotel rewards only give certain rooms, such as lower end ones, rather than suites, or any room? Typically, when you're booking rooms on award points, it is the lowest category room, which is then good if you have like elite status with the hotel, because then, although you booked the lowest category, if you have high tier elite status, then they'll put you in a nicer room. Suite upgrades from award stays typically are hard to come by. Some programs like Hyatt and Marriott have these like guaranteed suite coupons you can use for a certain number of guaranteed suite nights every year, but in that case you're like competing with everybody else who wants to redeem those. If you really do want to stay in a suite, you can typically book those with points. They're just going to be often twice as much or more than a standard room. I typically don't find that those are a good value. Ivan says, I noticed that the Chase Sapphire Reserve offers $300 per calendar year. Do you use this credit card? So do you use this credit? So there's two Chase Sapphire cards. There's the Chase Sapphire Preferred, which has an annual fee of like $89 a year. That one does not have the $300 credit. The Chase Sapphire Reserve, which has a $450 annual fee, that one does include the $300 travel credit per year. And yeah, I use that every year. It's super easy to use because travel, it includes like parking and subway cards, and there's a lot of things that qualify as travel, so that's a really easy credit to use. The American Express Platinum card is a harder credit to use because that credit now only applies to airline incidentals on a particular airline. JT says, what's the best website for hotel bookings? I like Agoda, A-G-O-D-A, agoda.com. Brandon says, what about Airbnb? I don't love Airbnb. I know a lot of people love Airbnb. I don't, because I like to stay in hotels. I like places that have concierges and taxis, and if things are broken into my room, they have maintenance techs to fix them. I like to walk downstairs to get breakfast, so I like hotels. Kevin says, do you like hotels that offer free food in the morning for visitors? I do, Kelvin. The free breakfast is a big reason for me staying in hotels. If they don't have free breakfast, then I often veer away. And it's not to say all the time. Sometimes I will pick a hotel even if they don't have a free breakfast, but I like to just saunter downstairs and get breakfast, and I like lounges. I like the executive lounge or the concierge lounge. We'll talk about that a little bit more when I talk about elite status. Vinny Taylor says, how many points do you need for a free night at Marriott? It depends on the hotel that you want and whether it's peak and off peak. But if you just go to like Marriott's website and you check points, then it'll tell you. I don't remember off the top of my head. D says, do you not agree that comp casino rooms are not recommended? That's like a double negative. But you know, the way you get comp rooms at casinos is by like gambling a lot of money. So you got to like lose a lot of money to get comp rooms. And then the casino hotels, they charge you resort fees and parking fees anyway. And so those free rooms at Vegas casino hotels really end up not being free. Sigma Rex says, why Agoda instead of booking directly on hotel websites? Because I find Agoda often is cheaper than the hotel websites. Agoda often has like really good discounts. But that's only if it's cheaper. Like if it's not cheaper on Agoda and it's cheaper on the hotel website, then I'll book on the hotel website. But if I'm taking a trip to Japan and I'm staying in like 4 Japanese traditional inns and all of them are on Agoda, and on Agoda it's either the same price or slightly cheaper, then I like to book them all through Agoda just because it's the same booking confirmation. I can look in the same place if I want to change them. If I've booked them all separately, then sometimes you have to call the like if it's this like weird small boutique hotel, it's harder to cancel or it's harder to change. Whereas if you book those on an online travel agent, it's really easy just to click and change. The War on SWJ says, what do you think of IHGs? I do not love IHG because I don't love Holiday Inns. Hornby says, can you use hotel rewards for rental cars? Not really. You can use Chase Sapphire reserve points in the Ultimate Rewards portal to book rental cars, though. And XXYYY says, can you collect Marriott points if using the Agoda website? Typically, no. You typically can't collect the hotel points if you've booked on an online travel agency. So if I'm staying at Marriott, Hiltons, and Hyatts, then I always book those directly through the hotel websites. Got it. Jordan points out that some hotels have price match. This is a good tip, and it should be in my pro tip section, but it isn't. But since Jordan mentioned it, I'm going to bring it up. And that is that many of these hotels offer like a best rate guarantee. So if you book something through their website and you find it cheaper through an online travel agency, you can often call the hotel up, submit a screenshot, and say, hey, I found your room for like $20 less. And in that case, they'll often give you some extra discount because you found it cheaper. All right, let's go on to number 5. So in number 5, I want to talk about, actually, there were a couple things I want to talk more about, just redeeming points, sorry, before we go on, which is redeeming points for a travel package. So some hotels, and Marriott's an example, offer travel packages where you can get a 7-night stay in a category 1 to 4 hotel, which is like their lower tiers, and 50,000 airline miles for 255,000 Marriott points. So some people ask, hey, can I transfer this and that? About the only time you would want to transfer is if you're getting one of these travel packages. And the final note about redeeming hotel points, do not ever redeem hotel points for merchandise. The hotel points and the airlines do this. They send you these catalogs to say like, oh, get the Bose headphones and get the golf clubs. That is always a really bad deal. Don't do it. Don't redeem it for merchandise. You'll kind of be getting screwed out of your value if you're redeeming from merchandise. All right, and Sigma X comments about, I fear the issue of hotels not committing to bookings made on Agoda. For what it's worth, I've never had that. I've never had that problem. And D says, not everyone here is from the U.S. You know that, Chris. Yeah, D, I wasn't really picking on your English as a non-native English speaker. I was just trying actually to read it to try to understand what it was. All right, and that's the thing about doing a live stream is it takes a little bit longer to sometimes understand what the comments are. Michael says, I just checked out what your first video was. It was 11 years ago. Awesome, man. Keep up the great hard work. Any new advice for a new YouTuber in 2019? Michael, I did a video recently. If you look through my live streams playlist, probably 3 months ago about VidCon. I spent an hour talking about all the tips from VidCon, so go ahead and take a look at that. But my biggest tip for you is just make videos. Just get started. Or maybe you're started, so just keep going. Carlos asks if this is sponsored. Who would this be sponsored by, Carlos? No, this is not sponsored by anybody. Melissa says, if you have an Amex Platinum card, it's great for cruises too. Almost every cruise line gives onboard credit as well as something else such as chocolate-covered strawberries, etc. That's a great tip, Melissa. Thank you for the tip. All right, so let's go on to number 5 now. Number 5 is all about elite status. So typically the way you earn elite status at hotels is based on number of nights you've stayed at the hotel per year. You can often get low to mid-tier status via credit cards. You can even sometimes get the highest tier status with some credit cards, but they also have high annual fees. One example is the American Express Hilton Aspire. It has a $450 night annual fee. It gets you Hilton Diamond, which is top tier status with Hilton. You don't have to stay in one night at Hilton. You just get that credit card and you have top tier status. Some of the cards, like the Hyatt cards or the Marriott cards, the more money you spend on it, you can earn nights towards your elite status. So why is elite status so important? Well, it's because of the benefits. You get extra points per dollar spent at the hotel. So if you're like top tier Marriott status, the bonus per night is a 75% bonus. So you almost get double the amount of points because you're a high-level platinum member. You get room upgrades. Have you ever got that room that's like looking out on the air conditioner, or it's in like the basement level? If you have high-level elite status, they save the best rooms for the high-level elites. You can also get suite upgrades. I've been put in a lot of suites, which I don't really use all that much, but it is nice because I like suites just because they're less noisy, right? The more room you have, the less you can hear other people. Free breakfast, my favorite elite status benefit, but not all free breakfasts are created equal. Some hotels and some elite statuses will just give you continental breakfasts. Other ones do breakfast buffets. And the Hyatt, if you have top tier Hyatt elite status and you're staying at like Park Hyatts, they will give you a full cook to order breakfast, typically anything off the menu, and it's typically pretty amazing. I mentioned lounge access. Lounge access is probably my second favorite benefit. So a lot of business and luxury hotels they'll either call them executive lounges or concierge lounges. What these typically are, they're typically places that if you are a high-level elite, you can use your room key to get in this special room where they'll typically have drinks and snacks all day. They might have evening appetizers. Appetizers are not all created equal. Some hotels, appetizers are like salad and crackers and things like that. Other hotels, appetizers can mean full cook-to-order meals. When we were staying at the JW Marriott in Thailand, they had people cooking up fresh pad thai. You could basically make dinner in the lounge. And then they'd have desserts that were amazing. Some lounges, like the Marriott in Osaka, have like all you can drink alcohol in the lounge that even include hard liquor. And that's a benefit. You go in there and just everything is free. And so you can get a lot of value out of your lounge stay. I'll say not even eking out that value. What I like about lounges as like a frequent traveler is, like, I know I can go there and get my basic necessities, like I need a snack or I need some water. I don't have to like go out and find a convenience store or supermarket that's maybe far away or maybe closed. I know that if I get to the hotel, there's some food that I can eat just to like fill my belly up. All right, other perks, like a welcome gift. So if you have top tier status with Marriott, Hyatt, Hilton, they'll typically give you some welcome gift. They'll either give it to you at the front desk or they'll have it in your room, which might be something as cheesy as 2 bottles of water, but bottled water is pretty nice. It might be something as fancy as like a fruit basket or bottles of wine. When I was at the Park Hyatt in New York City, it was like wine and it was all this stuff. I'm not really a big wine drinker. Late checkout, I really like this benefit. Checkout at most hotels is somewhere between 10 and noon, but often with elite status, you can get checkout, say, at 2 p.m. or even 4 p.m. I love 4 p.m. late checkout because you can like go touristing for the day, come back, take a shower before you have to check out, and maybe take that nighttime flight. That's so much better than, you know, checking out and schlepping and not being able to change or not take a shower. I also really like early check-in. How many of you have flown far away to get to your hotel at 9 o'clock and like, I'm sorry, check-in time is 3? But if you're a high-level elite, they'll be like, we have a room just for you. I've checked in at many Marriotts at like 6 a.m., and they'll check me in because I've got the Marriott Titanium status, where everybody else is sitting there in the lobby because, right, they don't have that status. D says, don't forget to give a thumbs up. Thank you, D. If you're watching this and you like this video, definitely give it a thumbs up. I would appreciate it. Other comments. Difference Engine asks, how to book flights cheaply. Is there a way to predict trends or prices. I have a whole hour show I did like this about how to book airfare for cheap. If you go on my channel and you find the travel advice playlist, you will find that video on how to book flights cheaply. Sigma Rex says, I'm from Singapore. I subbed because I heard my country being mentioned in the overrated U.S. attractions stream. Right on, Sigma. I love Singapore. I love the hawker centers in Singapore. I just don't love the heat. Christian says, have you talked about the credit cards with hotels in Vegas like the Mlife card? I haven't. But Mlife card will give you like free parking. I think it's worthwhile if you stay in Vegas a lot. Because I have Hyatt status. Hyatt status typically matches to Mlife status, and so that's how I end up with my Mlife status. Hornby says, can you use rewards with the hotel chains that you are signed up for around the world? Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of our reward stays with Marriott, Hilton, Hyatt is around the world, yet I've earned the points in the US, so any of you could do that too. It doesn't matter where you live or where you stay, you can redeem those points anywhere. Jake, a lot of people ask me what I think about IHG, and Jake gave a great answer about what he thinks about IHG. He says he has top tier status with the IHG, and it gets him virtually nothing. So that's just one data point about IHG. Half Yellow Fellow says, what would you recommend to eat at a continental breakfast in terms of freshness? I mean, it depends where you are, but like, bread, toast, the fruits are usually fresh. I have one thing I always avoid, which kind of scares me sometimes. Like, yogurt's made me sick before, and so I have a rule about yogurt. If the yogurt isn't really cold, like in a refrigerator, like if it's like put out someplace, I avoid the yogurt, because yogurt can spoil, so be careful of the yogurt. Cereal's also another one of those things. My favorite thing probably in continental breakfasts, and it's often served in continental breakfasts even though it's something that's hot, is typically oatmeal. So I typically get oatmeal for breakfast. Todd says, I have the Hilton Surpass card. It's about $100 a year, free gold status. It's been amazing. Lots of free breakfast, ocean front in the Rainbow Tower room at Hilton Hawaiian Village on my birthday in December for free. That's a great tip, and that's a good card. Guadalupe says, hi Chris, my husband and I love watching your videos. Wondering if you had any recommendations for hotels in South Lake Tahoe. I don't in South Lake Tahoe. We've stayed in one in Tahoe. There's a Hyatt hotel in Tahoe. It's kind of on the, what side is that? It's like on the middle east side. We enjoyed it. Sue271 says, good morning from Switzerland. Our family loves your videos. Keep going. Thank you. We loved our trip in Switzerland. Super clean, great hotels. Jordan says, some hotels put a mini bar in the room, but they charge crazy prices. I always avoid the mini bar. Though what I have found is sometimes an elite benefit at some hotels, they'll be like, everything in the mini bar is free. That's a pretty good deal. Moises says, what airline has a really good Admiral Lounge? The Admiral Lounge in particular is by American Airlines. But if you're asking what airlines just have the best airline lounge, probably my favorite airline lounge are the lounges by Singapore Airlines. Christian asks again about that Mlife card. Is it good or bad? If you're staying in a lot of Mlife hotels, you might as well, because it does give you some perks. Let's see. XXYYY asks if OC Girl has Marriott status. Generally, I book all the Marriotts, and so she benefits from my status instead of staying on her own. Peter Dew says, do you have any tips on how to achieve Marriott statuses beyond just staying at hotels? And that would be spending a lot on the credit cards. So you have one of the base credit cards. If you have one of the Marriott cards, it'll give you 15 points towards your elite status. Then every $3,000 you spend, you earn like another elite night. You can also book like a meeting at Marriott hotels, and it'll give you like 10 nights of elite status. So those are some ways to advance your elite status with Marriott. D asks if I've ever been to Romania. Not yet. Topher asks if I've ever tried Trivago. I have never tried Trivago. James asks if I recommend using the Expedia card. I don't. Not because I've never used it, but I don't think the benefits are all that great. Blood and Teeth asks if I've ever visited Big Bear. Yes, I have. Okay, but these are sort of getting off topic. So I'm going to go back to The last couple things about elite status, I want to talk about lifetime elite status. So in a lot of these programs, you can earn lifetime elite status. What does that mean? That means once you've gotten some hundreds amounts of nights and millions of points accumulated, they'll often give you lifetime status, meaning at that point, they're like, you've earned it for the rest of your life. You get this status. The other shortcut to elite status, because somebody asked, is via status matches. Many of these hotels will have programs where if you have top tier status in Hilton, you maybe could match to Marriott or Hyatt. They typically don't offer them all year round, but you can take a look for those. Sometimes they're just status matches. Sometimes they're like shortcuts to status where they're like, oh, well, we'll give it to you if you stay like 5 nights in 2 months or something like that. Jordan asked if I've ever been in a Tokyo capsule hotel. Not yet. All right. So number 6, I want to talk about promotions. One tip here I have for you is to sign up for the promotions for every hotel chain you regularly stay in. The promotions typically come out every quarter, so watch your email. They'll typically send you emails and say, hey, this is our promotion. Just when you get that email, just sign up immediately. Again, if you wait, you'll forget. So even if you don't think you're going to stay, because who knows what happens in 3 months, right? You might be like, oh, I'm going to this place, and you might end up staying in that place, and it's useful to be signed up for that. Some promotions are for more points. Other promotions are for free nights. You can also get free nights from some credit cards. The Marriott and Hyatt cards give you free hotel nights every year for just holding the card. QB3 asks, have you ever been denied access to breakfast on the first day of your hotel stay? If it's like a restaurant, then yes, which is why I like concierge lounges, because if you're in a hotel that has the breakfast as part of the concierge lounge, you just get into the lounge, and so therefore you get breakfast. And actually a lot of hotels that have lounges, if your room isn't ready but you have access to the lounge, they'll let you go to the lounge and have breakfast and have snacks while they're making your room. That happened to me in the Marriott Park Lane in London, or I got to the hotel at like 6 a.m. and my room wasn't ready, and they're like, go have breakfast, go hang out in the lounge, and we'll just come and get you when your room is ready, which is pretty nice. Though one of the breakfast benefits for elite status was I could also have breakfast in the restaurant cooked to order, but I could not have that breakfast the first morning that I was there. Let's see. D asks if I can divorce my wife so we can travel the world, and I think D's drunk, and so I don't think OC Girl would be too happy about that. All right. I mentioned I wanted to introduce the latest TOEFL submission. So as many of you have heard, TOEFL was stolen from us in London. It's very sad. And so we believe TOEFL is going to come back and be reincarnated around the end of October. We're accepting submissions for TOEFL. There's the first 4 are back here. The 5th TOEFL submission number 5 I want to introduce right here. His name is Bamboo. He came in this cute little panda bag right here. He's got these really big eyes, these big blue sparkly eyes, and he is from a general store near Ontario, Canada, Toronto, Canada, and he also came with this neat Canadian scarf right here representing the mother country, and a little postcard that I assume represents maybe the view out there. It's from Kathy in Canada, and so, sorry, Colleen. I'm so sorry, Colleen. Kathy was the one who sent the last panda. Colleen, thank you very much for sending Bamboo right here. I really appreciate it, and Bamboo will be entered for the TOEFL casting contest coming up. Thank you, Bamboo, and welcome. And by the way, if you have a panda that you would like to submit for the TOEFL casting contest, well, we're still accepting submissions through the end of October, so please get your panda traveling to Chris Rainey, 1180 Rosecrans Street, number 201, San Diego, California, 92106. Peter says, yes, Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Peter, are you from Toronto, Ontario, Canada? That's where little Bamboo's from. Let's put Bamboo right back here, so you can see Bamboo and the bag. All right. Jesse says there's no such thing as free. It's stupid. Unsub. Bye, Jesse. All right. So the other thing I like to do in these live streams is I like to do a giveaway every live stream. In this live stream, I'll be giving away a Yellow Productions t-shirt if you can answer my question. If you're the first person to answer this question correctly, you'll win a Yellow Productions t-shirt. So, the question, and before I get to it, Colleen says, thank you. Thank you very much, Colleen. You are the greatest. And thank you to everybody that sends these pandas. You know, being robbed in London really sucked, but the fact that you all are sharing so much love, and Colleen, the fact that you sent the panda and you sent this heartwarming note in the card, and the story about where he's from, and the Canadian maple leaf. I love it. It's so thoughtful. All right, so the question to win a t-shirt is, how many nights have I stayed in Marriott's in my life? The person who either gets this right as the number gets closest to it will win a Yellow Production t-shirt shipped anywhere in the world. How many nights have I stayed at Marriott's? And Sigma says, dude, get a P.O. box. Dude, it's a UPS store. All right. So if you show up there and you expect to find me, you won't. Sorry. You know, I have a P.O. box too, but the thing I hate about like P.O. boxes at the actual post office, it takes forever to stand in line and all that stuff. So I don't do that. All right. So pro tips. Number 7. And we got the right answer. The first person to answer the number of nights correctly is Achilles 2 with 974. There was somebody else who answered 942, but Achilles 2 got the first correct answer at 974. So Achilles 2, let me know wherever you would like me to send your shirt and what size you want it to be. You can shoot me an email at chris@yellow.net with 2 W's, or you can send me a message on Facebook. Links in the description below to my Facebook page. All right, so my last bit, pro tips. My first pro tip is to don't treat your hotel points like a real currency. A lot of people, when they're traveling, be it for work or for fun, they like try to bank their points and like, I'm gonna save all of these points for retirement. Don't do that. Earn and burn. Hotels constantly devalue points. They are not a currency to earn and sit on, because you earn them and pretty soon they're going to be worth like nothing, or that chain's going to go out of business. So don't treat them as a bank. I would say try to spend your points within about 2 years of earning them. Book early with points. If you want to book with points, because most hotels only offer a limited number of rooms for points, those points rooms often fill up quick. And there's typically no penalty for canceling or changing points reservations as long as you cancel them a couple days before. I've found some hotels in like snow resorts and this and that might have 30 or 45-day cancellations, but get it booked, get it locked in. The Andaz in Maui that I mentioned, they're kind of sneaky with their hotel rewards points in that they only give what they call the base room, which is like the garden view room, and I think in the hotel of 200 rooms they only have like 20 of those rooms, and so that's how they say, well, we don't have any blackout points, but we don't have any blackout days, all of the standard rooms, but they're like 10% of their rooms are standard rooms. James asked if we can use any dollar tricks at hotels. Yeah, that's where like you put your dollar in between your like credit card and your ID, or $20 to ask for an upgrade. Give it a try. I've heard a lot of good results. I don't do it personally because I don't know that I love that. All right, and the last tip that I've got for you is if you get a lot of points, it sometimes gets hard to track them all and track all your programs, all the points that you have. Some people keep track of all their points in like a spreadsheet. That's one option. There's this really great service called Award Wallet, awardwallet.com. They provide this ability where you can like it will log into all of your rewards programs and it will update them dynamically so you can see when they're expiring. You can see how many you have. If you're interested in signing up for Reward Wallet, there's a link in the description below. You can find it right there. It'll give you like 6 months of free Reward Wallet service. I personally use Reward Wallet, and I think it's a great service to track all the points. So everybody always asks, Chris, when's your next live stream? Well, the next live stream, it's gonna be next week. It's gonna be next week on Monday, and that is September 30th, 2019 at 8 p.m. A lot of people asked about credit cards. Chase Sapphire Preferred, I think it's the best credit card if you are a infrequent traveler and you're in the U.S. A lot of people pointed out, Chris, I'm not in the U.S. Well, then I'm sorry, it's hard to mention all the credit cards for everywhere in the world. Amex Platinum is another good one that is around the world. And Sigma Rex says, yeah, don't do the dollar trick in Singapore because you'll be arrested for bribery. That's a great trip, and probably nobody wants to be arrested. So with that, thank you all for joining the live stream today. As usual, I won't say goodbye because I'm going to see you in the next video. You'll find links in the description if you want to see behind the scenes of my live stream. You want to see more about that Chase card that I've mentioned a gazillion times now. Or if you just want to browse through my other Monday live streams, you'll find a link in the description to see all of those live streams. And just 3 final comments. Chelsea says, my dog loves you. Jenny says, I made it just before you say goodnight. Welcome, Jenny. And Kelsey says, can't wait until next week. All right. Keep on traveling, everybody.